And these Long Island taxes are out of control. Guys, let's get right into it. As someone who grew up in New York City, one of the biggest things that deterred me from wanting to live on Long Island is this out of control tax rate. We pay one of the largest property tax in America. What I want to explain to you in this video is the reason behind the taxes and what you can do to save yourself a ton of money on taxes if you do decide to buy here on Long Island. And if you are already a seller, stay tuned, because there's one thing that you need to be doing every single year to ensure that your taxes stay low and that you're not priced out of Long Island because your tax rate becomes out of control. My name is Matt. I'm a local real estate broker here in downstate New York. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate in New York City, Long Island, or Westchester, or you just don't know where to start, feel free to click the link in my bio for a free buyer consultation, or if you'd like a price analysis for your home here in the local area, we are happy to assist and are eager to guide you home. One of the differences that we're going to explain here is the reasoning behind taxes in Nassau County and the more favorable taxes that you may find in Suffolk County. However, there are a few parts of Long Island that you're going to find that the tax rates are even higher than the average 2.25% or 2% that you'll find in Suffolk County. And the reason behind this is because of other factors, such as possibly being incorporated, that you need to take into consideration before you plant yourself in any town here on Long Island. While Nassau and Suffolk County both have their respective rates that you need to take into consideration, what you need to pay close attention to is the exact town that you're moving into. Every town here on Long Island operates like their own council. No town is generically the same. Even if you move into a specific town, smaller portions of that town, which are sometimes subdivided into villages or hamlets, can also vary in tax rate because of several factors, such as school, local ordinances, or the fact that they may be in an incorporated village. An example of this is Amityville, which is a village located in Suffolk County, is located in the town of Babylon. However, a portion of Amityville is divided into a local village. So a common mistake that buyers tend to make is when they're looking at homes that are within that incorporated village, a lot of agents tend to leave out that additional village tax. So for example, if you're buying a house on Amityville and you find out that the property is sold for $700,000, you can estimate that your tax might be somewhere between $10,000 to $14,000. But in addition to that, because Amityville is within the incorporated village, there is an additional $1,000 to $3,000 that also get tacked upon your county taxes that a lot of people neglect. In essence, no town is going to give you a fixed rate when it comes to taxes. You have to figure out what school district the house is in it in an incorporated village, and specifically what town is it in. All those are going to vary, and aside from the price of the home, the square footage, the lot, whether the home was converted for mother-daughter or they had an addition to the history of the home, these are all going to play into the factor of what the taxes are going to be for that specific home. So why the hell are these taxes out of control? Unlike New York City, where everything is generically centralized and you can expect the city to kind of operate in uniformity for its schools, its sanitation, its local laws, you generally have a one-stop shop depending on what borough you're in when you're dealing with New York City. However, because Long Island is divided into several different towns, every town operates in their own manner. That means your town is responsible for local police, sanitation, fire department, schools, and Jesus Christ, let's not even talk about schools. Schools in Long Island is like a mafia. Like I like to say that. Like every school jurisdiction, not only can your town be zoned for a local school, another hamlet can be zoned for another school in a town. So you can be in a neighborhood that has historically low taxes, but if your home is zoned for a specific school, because you're in that school, you're responsible for the taxes associated with that school, even if the school is not in your town. Now, I know I mentioned Amityville. Let's talk about areas such as Wheatley Heights, located in the town of Babylon. However, a portion of that town, or hamlet I should say, is zoned to Half Hollow Hills. Even though that specific neighborhood is located in the town of Babylon, that neighborhood is zoned for Half Hollow Hills. You can see a portion of your taxes going to Half Hollow Hills, which is located in the town of Huntington, and the rest of your taxes being allocated to town of Babylon. That's how all over the place Long Island is. I didn't make the rules. This is just historically how the towns have been zoned and subdivided over years. And this is what causes partial variances of the local taxes here on Long Island. You should know that 60 to 70% of the taxes you're gonna pay here goes to the schools. As someone myself who grew up in New York City, schools here are completely different. All right. Being that I grew up in New York City, I remember getting a Metro card to go to school. Every single school zone pays for school buses. That's part of it. You can't walk out here. You can't expect your child to just show up to school, and a lot of parents work busy schedules. So imagine that every out-of-pocket cost that you would ideally pay for a private school is pocketed in to the public school system over here, depending on where you live. Your school taxes are gonna pay for the books, are gonna pay for the budget of the school. It's gonna pay for the school bus that picks you up. It's gonna pay for those field trips, sports against other towns. This is why the bulk of Long Island's taxes is significantly higher than New York City, because each town generates their own budget for everything that's going on. Certain towns may have other avenues to offset the expensive costs of school districts, such as maybe having more commercial activity in their town. Examples of this could be the town of Babylon. On the South Shore, you'll tend to find a lot of commercial districts or restaurants, as opposed to Huntington, you may find less commercial restaurants because of how the variances for those towns are set up. Some towns have more room for commercial activity. Some towns only reserve space for private homes to be built on. Do not get me started on village tax. Village tax is the silent killer that no one talks about when it comes to buying a home. If you are not from here, you will have no idea what's a village. There are certain towns here, specifically in Nassau and Suffolk, that you wouldn't even know you lived in the village. As I mentioned earlier, Amityville, one portion of Amityville is the village. There are certain portions of Amityville that are not within the village. So you wouldn't even know, unless you specifically asked an agent or you did your research, that your home may or may not be in a village. People tend to forget their village taxes when it comes to buying a home, and this is an extensive cost that can derail the deal if it's not properly explained to the buyer prior to closing. What do village taxes pay for? Villages kind of operate in a way that is separate from the town. Villages, essentially, when they become incorporated, they seek to gain control of the area that they're incorporated in. So now that means they have more control over variances, local ordinances, police, their fire department. Some of these villages have their own police department. Because of that, villages can address quality of life issues in a way that maybe the county police wouldn't have time to allocate for that. Some of these village police end up being more service oriented because of that, and you tend to have a closer knit relationship with the community due to having familiar officers that are addressing quality of life issues in your neighborhood. Because of these perks, these costs get offset to the purchaser regardless if you're going to use their benefits or not. You're forced to pay for it because your house is located in that area and there's nothing you can do about it. Suffolk tends to have lower taxes because less areas in Suffolk are incorporated as a result. Nassau has a different perspective when it comes to assessing property value. When taxes are assessed in Nassau, they tend to be assessed closer to the full market value of the home. This, as a result, can lead to significant property tax increases as a comparison to Suffolk County. Being that Nassau County tends to have more volume because of the condensed homes and the smaller lots as opposed to Suffolk County, that means there are more properties to assess from, which, as a result, raises the local taxes in that area. And if you can avoid a village, unless you specifically want to target that village, do try to stay outside. There are perks, however, to owning in a village. When you have an incorporated village, you know that there's going to be more involvement in the development of your neighborhood. The village tends to limit individuals from going outside of variances to create too many multi-family homes, to create too much commercial activity, and tend to want to keep the quality of life aspect that makes the area feel suburban, quiet, and residential. There are also other perks that the villages provide. You may see more services being rendered in the village because you live there. You may see your snow being plowed quicker, sanitation being addressed earlier, roads being fixed even quicker. Villages do not need to wait for the county to get involved for them to be able to address quality of life issues in the village. But you need to be cognizant that you pay for what you get for. If you care about these quality of life situations being addressed, then villages may be where it's at for you. However, if you're just a laid back person who just wants their garbage picked up, or who just wants the cops to just make you feel safe and not really be all up in your situation addressing small quality of life issues on a regular basis, then you may want to live outside of a village. If you're currently searching in Nassau and Suffolk County, some of the more popular villages that tend to come across your Zillow page will be villages such as Garden City, Hempstead, Freeport, Amityville, Lindenhurst, Babylon, Patchogue, and some of these villages do not have all the services that other villages may offer. Some of the villages I even mentioned do not even have their own police. That's something to keep in mind, that just because you live in a village doesn't mean you're going to have access to everything being exclusive. Being just in the county is not going to be enough for you to understand which areas are going to have lower taxes or not. You will start to see a trend with certain towns when you're looking on Zillow or you're looking to move to certain areas. However, you need to be aware of each and every home and do not generalize the county and assume every single house is going to be within this tax rate. Find out if the house is in a town, what town is the house in, to calculate the generic town rate, and then figure out what county it's in, and then after that also figure out if it's in an incorporated village or not. These things are going to help you determine what you should be looking for to know that, hey, if I move into this area, how high can I expect my taxes to raise by? Is this going to be an area that I'm not going to be able to afford if the taxes get out of control or not? And if you're one of those sellers right now who are living on Long Island, you need to be doing a grievance every single year, regardless of how low your taxes are. What are grievances? A tax grievance is a formal complaint by the property owner or corporation that owns a home in the county. So what essentially you're doing is you can either hire a grievance company, which you're gonna get because as soon as you move into the town, they're gonna send letters to your house. They know you bought a home. They'll find your information. They'll find your LLC and send you their services. What tax grievance companies do on your behalf is they complain to the town, the village, or the county on your behalf to say, hey, my property is overassessed. I'm paying too much money in this county or this town for what I'm paying the property taxes. And they will work on your behalf to find information in the assessor's roll, which is done every couple of years, to determine if the property that you live at is being overassessed as compared to everybody else. Me personally, I didn't believe in any of this stuff, and I did it, and I was like, oh, I actually saved money. They actually saved me indefinitely. And I say indefinitely with quotes because it's until your property gets assessed again. But that $500 every year is $5,000 over 10 years that I just saved because I paid somebody to help me save on my property taxes. Most of these tax grievance companies only charge you if and when they do save you on your property taxes. And it generally is gonna only be a one-time fee, and it's gonna be half of what they save you. So for example, if they save you $1,000, they're only gonna charge you $500 that one time, but you can expect that tax savings for the next 5 to 10 years until your property gets reassessed. And even then, there's a possibility that your tax will not rise back up to that $1,000 that you saved. So regardless, it costs you nothing essentially, and you're only paying if the tax grievance company can find something to put more money in your pocket. Aside from these tax grievances, you also need to make sure that you're signing up for STAR. STAR is a school tax relief program that's offered to primary homeowners that can save you a percentage of your property tax, specifically lowering part of the school tax that you pay, which is already high as hell here on Long Island, and refunding you a portion of that at the end of the year. So those are great savings to have, especially around the holidays when you're probably going to buy gifts for people you don't even like. So keep that in mind. STAR and making sure that you file for a tax grievance every single year is going to be your key components to making sure you save on your taxes. Long story short is do your research, please, all right? Long Island is out of control already as it is, and you need to be working with someone who can keep you informed of the ins and outs of not only the properties that you're buying, but the taxes that you're going to probably be paying for during the life of ownership of that property. Now, if you're looking to move to Long Island or sell your home and you want to make sure that you're working with a local expert who knows the ins and outs of the area, I'd be happy to help you, especially if you're in a high tax area, to help you understand how this is going to affect buyers and what your home could fare for in today's market. My name is Matt. I'm a local real estate here at Eagerness Real Estate, and we are always eager to guide you home or guide you in the right direction if you're looking to buy or sell here on Long Island.